We're just going to try something and then we can change it. And we'll go with that.
That's the theme of life.
Yes, that is the theme of life. And listener, that is the theme of this podcast. Hey listeners, welcome back to How the Wise One Grows. Today's episode is a little bit different. We are with Kelly, and we are talking about how we're surviving 2025 and how this podcast is evolving to help us through it. We're here, we're trying new things, we're figuring it out as we go right alongside you. So tune in and join us on this wild ride as we figure it out together. Before we dive in, let's take a deep breath. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Today we have Kelly, and you have met Kelly in some previous episodes, but I've never really said anything about Kelly really or why she's here. But Kelly is the best, and she is making this podcast so much better. And we just kind of wanted to check in with you and let you know what we're doing with the podcast as we're figuring it out, because truthfully, it's a lot of work and we don't really know what we're doing, and it's evolving just as we are evolving in life. So you're going to be hearing a lot more from Kelly in all of these conversations. And I'm just so excited that she's here. She's bringing life. Oh, sweet
I'm
Kelly.
so excited to be here. We'll talk so much more probably about pooping our pants and
yes,
all kinds of shenanigans. That's typically where we end up, though, is shitting our pants stories.
I mean, 2025, to be real, kind of feels like shitting your pants so far.
I think this is it's probably not an uncommon experience, but I keep catching myself saying things like, oh, in the first 3 weeks of January, and then I stop myself and I'm like, it's January 15th as of when we're recording this. I literally did that the first time I did it, that I specifically said, probably for the first 3 weeks of the year, was January 8th. It was
that was
1
to
week
me.
and 1 day. Oh, it was?
It was to me.
I didn't realize that. I feel like I have been oh God, what a year. And I keep being we just started.
It is just the beginning, and it is wild. Yeah. And honestly, that's a big part of, I feel what we're just gonna do here together on this, because I don't know any other way to get through this than through each other, and we can do that through our friendships and our communities with one another. But I also really want this podcast to be a community too, that's helping us get one another and support one another through 2025, all of the life stuff we've been through, because we have been through some shit, and we are going through more, and we are going to continue going through more. And our communities and our connections with one another, and as much support and care, and also humor and levity and lightness and joy that we can find and share with one another, that I feel is the through line right now.
Yes, literally, I think the biggest thing that has kind of stuck with me, because I will say for the listener that last week Holly and I hopped on a FaceTime and we were like, what do we want this to be like? And Holly, in your beautiful way, started it off with how do we want to feel, and how do we want the listener to feel, and instead of what's our goal, productivity wise, what numbers are we going to reach and whatever, it was what do we want to create with this, and what kind of community do we want? And I think one thing that was really important to both of us is, Holly has been doing this for a long time. I've never done podcasting until the beautiful, fun episodes that I've gotten to hop on with you. And I think that both of us, as well as probably so many other people, are just desperate for a little bit of levity and community. And I think that Like when you and I were talking last week, it felt like something where I realized that I was feeling so tense and intimidated coming into that meeting when I looked at it as like a meeting
Mm-hmm.
of like, this is going to be a business and what do we want to accomplish? And then as soon as it was like, oh wait, like we're just human beings and we're just kind of trying to fuck around and see what sticks, and the idea that a podcast could be a like exactly in community with the listeners so that you're there with us at the same time and you can always be in conversation with us, being like, this is what I'm going through right now and I would love it if you did an episode on this, or like I want to learn more about this or whatever. Because I think that we both were just like, what are we going to do with some of the life things that are coming up, some of the
Mm-hmm.
directions our world is taking this year? And
Mm-hmm.
it can be really overwhelming. And it exactly is that thing of like just a network of good humans being like, we got each other. We
Mm-hmm.
got support. We're all here for each other. And yeah, we're just gonna do the best we can and see what happens, baby. That's what life
Yes.
is.
That's literally all we can do, and that's all we're doing. And I think it's just like
Yeah.
there can't be any pretending because like we are all just figuring it out. And I think the more honest and open we are about that, especially through the times we're living through, like that's
Yeah.
gonna nurture us so much more. And like something we said that I just
Mhm.
want to like name on here for the listener, like I just want this to be your friend blanket. Like on those days
Mm.
where you're like, I like so desperately need someone to just like take care of me, but I have no capacity, no energy to give. It's just like, listen to the podcast. This is your friend
Mhm.
blanket. You can just listen to us doing the thing and feel held
Mhm.
by that. And like know
Yeah.
that we're here holding you and we're here holding each other. And we're just going to like wrap the biggest little podcast friend blanket around everyone that we can.
Yeah.
And
I
then
love
maybe
it.
we'll make a cool fort with it too. Cause we also like gotta
Yes.
find the joy, gotta find the play when we can. Cause that's
Play.
like so important too.
Mhm. Absolutely. I like, yeah, I feel like when you said the friend blanket, I was like, that's perfect because all I ever want to do is just nap in a room where people I love are having conversations that don't involve me. So I can just be like, I
Yes.
can listen in and laugh at the funny things they say and like
Mm-hmm.
be like, familiar voices. And also just be like, I'm just tired and I'm just going to rest my eyes and
Yes.
lull off. And yeah. And then occasionally I'll wake up and be like, let's make a fort. Here we go.
Yeah, now let's hang. No, I feel like that's like one of the hardest things making friends growing up is like, I'm like, I want to be around people, but I have no
Mhm.
energy and no capacity to give. Like, you just want to sit on the couch with your
Yes.
best friend who you like don't even have to talk to and you can just veg out with. And
Yes.
we can't always do that. So we just hit the
Mm.
little play button and we'll just have our little friend blanket.
Yeah. I have a little just anecdote of one of those beautiful, lovely times that happened last night that I
Please
was
tell
just like,
me.
this is so beautiful. Because I
Give
think we
us the
just need
beauty.
so many of those little resting spots.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday I was like in that exact place. Like at work, I was like struggling so hard to keep my eyes open, was just like, oh my gosh, I don't have a time to myself that's not already scheduled with something
Mm-hmm.
for a very long time. And that is something that I find so exhausting
That's a
it makes
very
me want to
well-mean
cancel
feeling.
everything.
Yes.
Yes. Like, and even if it's a fun plan, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I just need to like plank face down on my bed and not
Mm-hmm.
talk to anyone
Yes.
for like a week and then I'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Then I'm ready for all the things.
And then I'll be ready. And then I'll be like touch starved and be like, someone talk to me.
Yes.
But like, I feel like yesterday at work, I was doing that thing and I had plans last night to drive to a friend's house. Basically, like my best friend, it's her friend from college who she and I are like new friends, and we keep being like, we should really hang out. We live in the same state. Like, why don't we hang out
it's
more?
your bonus homie? It's me, but somewhere in
Yes,
Connecticut.
it's a bonus homie. It's another bonus homie.
Just to explain a bonus homie, so Kelly and I are like connected by our mutual best friend Emma, and now Kelly and I are bonus homies. It's like the friend that you get from your best friend, and it is the coolest. Highly recommend.
Yes. And I have to shout out Tatiana Joyce, who is the person who is my bonus homie who taught me bonus homie for the first time. But yeah, so last night was basically it was like, Liz is in town, my best friend who lives in Paris. She's in town for just a few more days. So I was definitely not going to like cancel plans. I was like, yeah, I'm going, but I'm so tired. And just the idea of doing anything, even though it's fun, sounds so overwhelming. And it was literally, Liz was like, do you want to meet me and our friend Grace? And Grace and her husband just had a little baby. So they live a little bit farther away than I feel like I would have normally driven on a weeknight. But I was like, absolutely, you have a newborn baby. Like, let's have the lowest pressure hang, and we'll just come to you. And I literally showed up at their house, and there was like the most, like, I feel like I walked into a dream. I was like in that space where I was kind of tired and kind of like, okay, how much social energy will I have for this? And I walked in, and there was the most amazing smell. They were making like a curry, like soup on the stove. It smelled so good. The house is so cozy. Grace was like putting her baby down to sleep, and Liz let me in, and they were like, oh, like Daniel's out picking up wine. And then he came back, and we all got to just hang out. And like, we literally sat around in their living room and ate soup and made vision boards for 2025. Yes. And I literally was like, we had a whole conversation, because I was like, I was like, listen, I'm doing my best at my vision board here, but I want to tell you, and this is the biggest honor, that like, you guys are collectively my vision board right now. Like, this is what I want. I want community in just like a cozy room. They had like lovely, like instrumental jazz music going. And I was just like, I just want to be cozy with my friends. That's what I want forever.
I love that. I will say vision boarding has been like, it's very hot this year. I gotta say, I'm seeing it like all over the place. I went to like a vision boarding girls' night with my friend Preston, who I'm actually leading a yoga retreat with, and we're definitely doing vision boards there. Holly here for a little shameless self-promotion. Preston and I are leading a creative wellness retreat in Santa Teresa, Costa Rica, November 9th through 14th, where we will be spending 5 days and 6 nights in this amazing jungle beach town, focusing on yoga, mindfulness, and creative practices to help you unblock creative energy and create a life you love. I could not be more excited, and I would love, like, it would be a dream come true to have some How the Wise One Grows listeners there. So this is your formal invitation. Please come to Costa Rica and create with us. There is a link in the show notes with all the info on how to sign up. And now you can go back to listening to Kelly and I.
I was telling you last week that I was like, Holly, you were the one who originally put me onto the Chani Week Ahead astrology podcast.
Yes.
Last week when Holly and I had our FaceTime, I was like, I don't know what's happening. I like specifically took this weekend and was like, I'm going to like empower myself for the year, and I'm going to go on a long hike, and I'm going to listen to hopefully a really uplifting like podcast about how incredible this year will be. And the whole thing was just like, you better buckle up. It's going to be hard work. And I was like,
buckle up. The first, like, if you don't listen to Astrology of the Week Ahead with Chani, do it. It is like my Monday ritual. I go on a walk and I listen to Chani, and it's amazing. She's pretty much saying like the first quarter of the year is gonna be a lot. There's so many planets like shifting, all this stuff is happening. It's gonna be hard. And come like June, I think, June or July, I think it's June.
Mm-hmm.
I think it like
June.
the biggest ships I think end in April, and then come June, like something's going on with Jupiter where like the work that you're putting in right now is gonna pay off. And like it might feel like that's a really long time away, but in the grand scheme of things, like if you can start to get results for stuff you're putting in the work now, like June isn't that far. So like as hard
Yeah.
as stuff feels right now, like focusing on what matters, focusing on like your communities, focusing on like the changes and growth that you want to see personally and as a community, like we got to roll up our sleeves and like now is the time to do the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I did appreciate that. I feel like at first I was like, no, I just want you to tell me that everything is going to be fun and easy, and I've already done all the hard work I'll ever do.
Yes.
But like, I feel like genuinely, I'm definitely someone that's like, I mean, it's not like I revel in the idea of a lot of hard work coming up and difficulty or challenges that I need to face or whatever, but I do feel like I can handle anything as long as I know that there is a boundary to it, where it's like there is going to be this end in sight. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. And I feel like that was something where I was like, okay,
yeah,
all right. And also I'm like, that checks out. I feel like every year of my life, especially as someone now living in New England, it makes sense to me where I'm like, yeah, it's kind of always been that January I'm looking ahead at the year and I'm like, one day it will be June and it will be warm.
It will be
and
warm
I'll be
again
on the beach and I will be happy. It's not right now, but it will happen.
Yes. I'll fill in more details of this in a moment, but like since we last talked, there's been some shit that has happened. And and well, I guess I'll just say the shit that's been happening, and then I'll go to the wise sage advice I've been telling myself and have had told to me. But like I just so many times have like, and you people listening, you've probably seen this on Instagram. It's not my original thought, but it's hilarious, and I would love to pretend that it is. That it's like, I've like tried the 14-day trial of 2025 and I would like to unsubscribe. I'm like definitely not interested. And I've been like feeling that, saying that, so not in that energy. And a big component that, so I was talking to my meditation teacher, about what had been going on, and she was like, yeah, and that's the life that you have. This is the life that's here. And we have to be here for all of it, even the shit, because this is the one we've got. And being with this can also bring the other stuff too. But if you're not here for this, you're not here for your life. And how does that work? You know, so there's some shit going on, but this is the life we're here for. So how can we best be with it? And like, you know, those listening, I mean, you have to know about, you already know, and I don't know what it will be like when this comes out, but the California wildfires that are happening. My brother is in California, and right after he's in LA, right after Kelly and I got off the phone last week, I got like very scary communication from my family that they had like an emergency evacuation. It was like the way things were communicated made it feel very scary, like of their capacity to get out. And I like lost it, like hyperventilating. It was just like so much. My brother is fine. His loved ones all there are fine. Their home is amazingly saved because firefighters were able to get up when the wind slowed down and drop water, and they're doing great right now, as great as they can and where they are. It's obviously horrific. And I was, I was just thinking about like, he's just had his car packed. It's been like, over a week of this where they just have their car packed with like their go bag, and like they're ready to go at any moment. And it's just made me think like, one, there's so many tangents I'm going to go into, but like, I think everyone should have a go bag now. I think like the environmental crisis is here. And I am quickly realizing that, like, anytime I think someone is overreacting about something, they're actually right. Like, the same week that the fires started in California, I live in Richmond, and there was like a snowstorm coming, which for Richmond is like 3 inches of snow. And I'm at the grocery store and I see these people like getting gallons and gallons of water, and I'm like, what are they doing? That's so silly. And then, jokes on me, Richmond lost water. The city of Richmond, our water got messed up. We didn't have water for a week. Like, turns out I definitely should have stocked up on some water, you know, like, it's just wild. And then also last week, I had shared with Kelly, like, before, my dog had like a weird incident over the weekend. I woke up in the morning, like 4 a.m. Saturday. She had like wet the bedding. I was like, okay, but she seemed totally fine. Spent the day. It had snowed again. She played in the snow. She seemed fine. We left for a couple hours and came back, and she had again wet herself and was doing this weird head bobby thing. And I'm like, we got to go to the ER vet now. You know, this is something's happening. We go to the ER vet and they take her blood work. She's wet herself multiple times. We're sitting in this room for like 6 hours. And the vet comes back in and is like, well, she has 0 platelets. Like, pretty much she's at high risk of sudden death at any moment. She is going to stay here for the next 3 days while we run tests and figure out what's going on. And here's a bill for $6,500. And we were just wrenched. Like, she's like, my baby. Like, I just was completely torn apart.
Of
We did
course.
what we did. And then I wake up in the morning. We get a phone call in the morning that they read the blood work wrong. And that was not true. And, like, thank God. You know, but just like the emotional roller coaster of it all, like, and we still, you know, something's going on with her. We still don't know what. We're figuring it out, but whatever it is isn't going to be as bad as what we thought. But I'm just like, more and more I'm thinking about, like, yes, like, we are in a time of life where, like, with the environmental crisis, we do like physically need these go bags. Like, what do you need to grab and go? I am like all on board for like be over prepared, because that tends to be the right thing. Be the person that has the masks and the hand sanitizer and the water and the go bag ready to go. Like, I'd rather be that person at this point. And I'm just more and more acknowledging like how much we need like an emotional go bag. Like, what is our emotional go bag to deal with what we're dealing with? Because it's so much all the time. And I was just kind of like thinking about what things have been helping me this week. Like, what is my emotional go bag? And like, I'm curious what yours are too. But I feel like the more we can like talk about those things and share those things, like, that's going to help us all kind of navigate these times, because it's a lot. And I feel like everyone I'm talking to has had like a shit 2 weeks too, you know, or more. It's just, it's hard.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm so sorry that that's me catching up in real time on the on the Luna situation. Oh, poor baby. I'm just like, also, I can't even imagine, because this is just days on end of you getting like potentially like the worst news about family and the environmental disasters that are happening, and now your sweet pup, and then having like, oh actually it's not as bad as it seems, but actually we still don't have an answer for you. And like, it's just, I think truly there is only so much of that any human can take before you do fully go just like break down. Like, I would love to know if you have thought about it. Like, is there something that you've been like, oh, this is in my emotional go back?
I mean, like, you know, when I was like hyperventilating, when I was figuring out what was going on with my brother, like, you know, I teach yoga and mindfulness, and I have been doing this for years. And like, my husband's sitting there, like, talking me through how to breathe. And like, I think like that is like the first and foremost thing that I like keep coming to. And like, no matter how much you know you need to do the thing or how much you know the thing, sometimes when you're in that like acute moment, like it's not happening. You need someone to help you. So like, just I 1000% like breath work is in my emotional go bag because it like our nervous systems are just on override and like just like I try to do just like a box breath, which is a 4x4 breath where you like inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4 again. And I like meditate every morning, normally in bed, and like I do that. I'll link a meditation of that in the show notes for people, but trying to like remember that. But it's also hard to like really stick to that stuff every day, especially when you feel depleted. I mean, I did this, like, I am doing a meditation challenge for this like New Year 30-day thing, and I've had a regular meditation for a while, but like having a community that's like doing it too has felt so good. And it's like on the days that I've been like, I don't have it in me, it's like helped me do it and show up and just like a lot of it has been playing like a yoga nidra meditation when I'm laying in bed at night feeling anxious and like I can't fall asleep. Like that's been helping me and helping me fall asleep. So like that's a big one. So instead of just like scrolling on my phone at night when I'm feeling anxious or like just watching Gilmore Girls like I normally do, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get a new book that I feel excited about. I'm going to read a new book. I'm going to play this meditation and like try to calm my nervous system down better.
Holly again. I've got a quick little note for you. I've added links to the show notes for a box breath meditation and a yoga nidra meditation for you to download, save, and add that to your emotional go bag because Lord knows we need it.
We should probably release this episode soon, but we did an episode on somatics with Molly Beanstalk, who they are incredible. And just like moving my body, I'm like so like that is what I need. And this last year I've gotten really into like needing to dance to move my body. So I've been like going to the gym and like getting on the elliptical and just full on like dancing on the elliptical. And I'm like, all think I'm crazy, but I'm listening to badass female artists and I am feeling myself, and this is like healing. Someone should take a video of this.
What are like the top 3 artists or songs that you're like, this is up there?
Okay. The Beaches, if
for
you
your
don't know
elliptical
them.
Dancing.
The Beaches.
Love Beaches.
Love the Beaches. They have been like my go-tos. Like obsessed.
They are Blame Brett, right? Do I have the right band?
That's the right one.
Oh my god, and Cigarette.
All I want to be is around girl band, girl rock energy. That's like where I'm at.
Yes. Okay.
So like
2025.
the Beaches.
Put that on the vision board.
The Beaches. And then also like obviously Beyonce. Because like you can't not have Beyonce in these times. So those have been like my go-tos.
Are you going like Renaissance? Are you going Cowboy Carter? Are you going OG?
I'm like
old
going
Beyonce?
all of it. Like all of it. I'm just like hitting Beyonce. Beautiful. And I'm like, girl, whatever you got, I am here for this. And like wherever those two kind of lead me through Spotify after that, I'm like loving it. I've really been on a Sabrina Carpenter kick too. So I've just been like, I just need the women. I just need the women and the joy and the power and the strength that they're bringing. And I need to fucking dance. And I'm like, not want to go to a club. So I'm like, I'm going to dance on the elliptical. And this is what's happening. And it fucking works.
I love that. I love it so much. I just saw like an Instagram video of this woman who was like, just a reminder that your body doesn't know and it doesn't need to know if you are perfectly in rhythm or if you look silly or whatever. If you are literally jumping and shaking and moving your body, like stress is working through the stress cycle and everything. And I just was like, that's such a good reminder. Cause also like I love dancing, and at the same time I grew up dancing, so I feel like
so you like actually know how to dance.
Well, but there's a certain thing where I'm like, oh, I want to do it. Yeah, I want to do it right. It's almost like competitive where I'm like, and I was not a competitive dancer. That's a whole other level of like incredible. I'm in awe of those people. But just that I was like, I want to really be good at this. And I feel like literally, that has been saving me, even literally in the car, like on my way to work in the morning. This morning I was listening to Talking Heads and David Bowie, and I was just like shaking from like my torso up. And I was like, this is in a nice way. When I say shaking, that sounds like like nervous system overload. I was just grooving and moving, and it's
so
nice.
good for your nervous system. And if you like, you watch animals like dogs, like they shake when they get kind of like tizzied with each other, and that's like such a good reset. My therapist literally before the holidays was like, here's the can of worms that's happening, like in this space where it's like I can communicate boundaries and like I can do all the things that I can do, but like it doesn't mean the thing isn't going to keep happening, right? So like so say you're doing all the things you're supposed to do, you're setting the boundaries, you're like taking care of yourself, you're doing whatever, but like the other people are, you don't control them. They're still going to do their other person thing. It's still coming at you. So she prescribed me this, like, she's super into this thing called continuum dance, and it's this, maybe I'll post this on Instagram. Will has warned me not to, but I feel like I probably should. It's this like weird ass dance where I'm just like shivering, like whew, like breathing really weird, like brushing the energy off, and then you do like a shiver up your spine, and then you collapse onto the earth. And you do it like 3 times, and it's like just such a good way to like move energy through your body and then just be held by the earth.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's kind of like all we can do sometimes.
Dude, literally, I'm like, when you were saying earlier that like in your emotional go bag, part of it that's helping you is like listening to some yoga nidra stuff as you're going to bed. Like instead of being anxious, I'm like, I think as someone who has dealt because of some of the mental health challenges that I've had before, it has shown up in specifically the type of insomnia where I can go to sleep fine, but I wake up fully alert. My old therapist that I used to see years ago called it lightning in a bottle. Like when you've seen something, it happened a lot after I witnessed a very bad car accident. And she was like, this is your body processing trauma, and it's you're basically going into fight or flight mode. And it's like, but when it happens at 3 a.m. every night and you have to wake up for the day and go to work at 5:30 in the morning, it's obviously not sustainable. And I feel like there was such a cycle that I got in and have been in different times in my life where I would do that thing where I would like have that insomnia, wake up in the middle of the night, and then just feel immediately furious that I was awake. I was like immediately mad. And then because I was mad, I had like this angry energy that was not conducive to me just like going back to sleep. And I feel like truly, it's so funny. It's like one of those things, like I'm sure you've seen there are like 1,000 different formats of this joke, but basically all the things that are like, well, I'm devastated to report that after drinking more water, exercising more, getting more sleep, I do in fact feel better. Like that is really what we need. And I feel like that is so something specifically with like moving my body where I have found it to be so wildly helpful in my sleep and in like my anxiety levels where I'm like, God damn it. Because then, I don't know. I feel like I can convince myself where I'm like, I don't have time to work out today. Or I'm like, it's freezing out. I live in Connecticut and it's January. I'm not like my ideal. That's why I love the summer, because I'm like, I go to work and then I come back and I have hours of daylight so I can like go for a run or go for a bike ride, which really fills my spirit. So I like feel less encouraged to like go to the gym. But I love that idea of being like, go on the elliptical, put on your favorite music and just dance while you like literally I'm like, I think I'm going to do that after we record. I think that sounds great.
Literally, please do. It is like
I love that.
magic. And I like cannot advocate
I'll report
enough. Back. Yes, please report back. We need to hear.
Yes.
But I like cannot function without movement. Like I think it helps my ADHD a lot. And like I think it just helps my I exercise for my mental health, and I am like unwell when I'm not. And it's been really hard this week because I've been like so emotionally drained and tired and like not wanting to do that, but I've like forced myself to, and lo and behold, I'll feel better after. And it's like, all right, you know, once you feel it, it's like, okay, you want to do it more. Once you start feeling good, it's like, okay, well, I'm like chasing, you know, it's like a high you're chasing.
Yeah. It's so funny. My mom, like, I think kind of randomly, I don't think that, I could be wrong. I don't think that this was like a specific intention for her going into the new year, but she kind of randomly started walking a ton every day. And then after like a week of being like, oh, just like by accident, I had like 4 days in a row of like friends asking if I wanted to go for a walk, and they ended up being long walks. She was like, I'm loving this. She was like, I feel like it's actually kind of like a high. And I was like, yeah, endorphin. Like, I was like, that's why it's a runner's high. And she was like, I didn't know that was a thing. I was like,
endorphins make you feel good.
Endorphins make you feel good. Elle Woods, our queen.
Bless. Yes.
Yeah. But it's so funny because I'm like, again, I've known that for years. And I've known that for me specifically and for my body and for my brain, it's like the best thing I can do. And I still, even literally just now being like, I think I'm going to go do that after this. Like immediately after, I was like,
am I?
But it is almost 7 and I did make tea and I have a glass of wine here. So
it's like also like, okay if you don't do it after this too. But also like, what if you just like danced in your kitchen for 5 minutes, you know?
Literally.
Like, what if you just like gave it like the tiniest bit, and then tomorrow you're like, okay, I have this time carved out that I'm gonna do that thing. But I think that's also like what stops us, is that like kind of like you were saying, like not wanting to dance because you want to do it so well, but it's like sometimes it's just like showing up. So maybe it's just like, I need to in my go bag is showing up for movement every day, but that does not mean going to the gym every day. That does not mean going on a run. That might mean standing and shaking my body out for 10 minutes or not 10 minutes, 10 seconds. If you're standing and shaking your body
like,
for 10 minutes, then you're really working on some stuff.
You're just like dissociating while shaking.
Yes.
I mean, been there.
25 might call.
We'll probably be there again.
Yeah.
We'll check back in next week. Holly is like, I did it for 20
I'm still shaking.
I'm still shaking. I can't stop, actually.
I also
it's
did
so
learn
real.
My body's nervous response is shaking. Like that night with Luna, like I just like, I'm hearing the vet say all this stuff and I just start shaking. And then in bed at night, like I just like, I woke up in the middle of the night, somehow fell asleep, woke up and just like uncontrollably shaking, and Will just had to like wrap me and like just like hold me till my body would like settle. So like the body was saying, please move this shit through me because I cannot process.
Dude. Yeah, it's so wild. And I'm like, I think that is such a beautiful reminder also for me specifically, like this last year getting like officially diagnosed with ADHD, which I feel like I have known that I've had in some capacity, but didn't, I guess I will say I was like functioning through it in a way where I was like, well, I generally know how to eventually get my tasks done. So it's fine.
I know how to manage it. I
know how to manage it, but also had no idea until literally like getting diagnosis, starting to see a therapist again, which I had desperately needed and wanted for quite a long time since moving to Connecticut, and like working through this, and then also like starting medication for it, and like all of these things that I was like, there's an easier world that I like, and not even easier. It's not like I like press, like take a pill and everything gets better. It's just like I sometimes forget. And this is like what I want to remember and hold on to going forward this year. I sometimes get so in my head of like, I'm doing what I can to survive. So that's all I can do and that's all I need to do and whatever, that I forget that there's a whole other room to that house of life in which I get to thrive. But I'm like not even thinking that that's a possibility. So I'm just like, it's fine. It's fine. I'm managing. I'm doing what I can. And it's like, hang on, because going back to like what you said, like maybe you don't go to the gym every day. Maybe you like set a timer for 10 minutes and like shake around. Literally, I did that last week. I was like really starting to beat myself up because I had been like, after work, you're going straight to the gym. And then I was like, in reality, I brought like my laptop and my guitar to work, and I don't want to bring those and just like have them sitting in the parking lot of the gym. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to go home first, but my house is so close to the gym. And of course I pulled in, and the moment I got in, I was like, it's so cold. I don't want to go back out to the car and back out to the gym. And then I immediately went into like being mad at myself because I was like, you made this commitment and you're already giving up on it and whatever. And I was like, literally the thing that I had said was move your body for 30 minutes. And I did that where I was like, you know what? I really need to make dinner. I'm going to put on my little like old lady ankle weights and dance around the kitchen while I make dinner. And my meal took me like basically 20 minutes. And then I ate and like moved around for 10 minutes and like was like, that was great. That
and
felt
you did
fun.
it.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess I'm realizing with so much this last year and moving forward into 2025 that I'm like, man, setting like reasonable expectations for yourself and like making goals for yourself that are I absolutely am like, we can not to what's the plagiarize, we can do hard things, but I'm like, we can do hard things. Like,
we can, and we also like, love we can do hard things.
We can, and we do. But I feel like it's like I constantly have to remind myself that it's like I can do really, really fucking hard things. I just also don't have to do them in one go. Like, the things that are worth doing in the long run take so much steady, persistent time and attention. And it's like a crumb at a time of just like, you keep, like you said, you keep showing up. Yeah. And that's just like, okay, that's what I want. I'm going to just keep showing up.
Yeah. And I love like so many things about what you said. And like, first of all, that like we can do so much more than survive this. You know, like right now survival feels so like just like the baseline, and if all you can focus on is like surviving and breathing through this day to day, sold. That is
do it.
Absolutely valid. That is where you get to be.
You're doing wonderful.
Yes, that is more than enough. That is 100%. Yeah. And we also do deserve to thrive. So like what, like, you know, like how can we find that? How can we thrive even when shit is hard as hell? And like there's capacity for that too. And wherever you're at in it too is a part of it. Like if you're in the surviving, guess what? You have to survive to thrive eventually. So like focus on the surviving. And I was reflecting with my my meditation teacher too. We were talking about like everything that had been going on, and this reminds me of what you were saying about like we set this intention for the year, we have all our goals, and I was even like showing up talking about mine, like my year's gonna be like a slide, I'm gonna have fun, it's gonna be about like letting go and trust and surrender and going deeper. And then she was like, yeah, and maybe it's not that fun all the time. You know, like letting go of a slide is scary. Maybe you're putting way too much pressure and expectation on things to be a certain way. But like the flip side of it is letting go is hard. Trusting is hard. Falling is scary. And she was pretty much like, my wish is for you to experience your capacity to handle each moment as it's happening. And that your awareness allows you to hold that. So like this bubble of awareness is like the slide that's like holding me as like all the life stuff is happening, and like truthfully, like when we got that Luna information, and I feel so silly too that like I'm that distraught about my dog when people in California are losing their pets and their homes and their loved ones, and it's so intense. And but I did, it was really intense for me, and I just like looked at myself in the mirror and was just like, turns out you can handle whatever you have to handle. Like,
Yeah.
you're
still
just
here. You've done it up until this point. Yeah.
And it was like I handled it better than I thought I would, you know? Like I thought I would have completely lost it, but it was like I actually handled it well, and because I had to. And you will continue to handle whatever you have to handle, even if it isn't fun. Don't waste your energy resisting it. Just like put your energy towards dealing with it.
Yes. I love that. I also want to just say, for the record, that because I do this too so much, like you said that you feel silly about feeling that way about Luna in comparison, which I completely understand. But it is totally one of those things where it's like, in that moment, you were faced with news that's like, the love of your life, your baby Luna, your baby dog Luna. It sounds like the way they presented it was like, she may go any minute. Like this might, whatever. She's like on the brink of a terrible thing. And I feel like it's very similar to how you were saying, like you found out like, oh, okay, my body shakes when it gets this information. It's like, to your body in that moment, you're not like safer than other people are, and therefore you should not feel as much about it. You know what I'm like? It's absolutely, it's fucking, everything that's happening in California is devastating. Everything that's happening all over the world all the time. Like there is so much, but I feel like just to have, again, part of that bubble be like, right now I'm dealing with something that in my world is devastating and so scary, and trying to show up for Luna, show up for my husband. He's showing up for me. I'm showing up for myself, like whatever. And again, just to get through that moment and be like, I did that. And then also to be able to have the space to, like you said, kind of like look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I actually did a good job with that, and acknowledge that, I think is so massive. And like this is a whole other, we could go in a different direction, but I will say, I'll save the full story of it for another time. But to summarize, I'm in a songwriting course right now that's through the month of January, which has been so incredible. We got to talk about it at some point. But I will say a big part of that and the theme that has been going on through that is, again, just showing up and being like, on every homework assignment, what I love is that you pick the time. There are like a variety of options it's like over Zoom, and you pick one of the times that work for you on Saturday. And every week under the home assignment for the song share portion, it's like, what the assignment is, when it's due, and then like there's a little thing that's like, but how do I know when my song is actually done? And then under it, it's just like, your song is done when you show up to the song share. So whatever it is, it's done. You finished it. Like what, and they always have a thing that's like, remember, a song can be as little as one word. Like that's a song. You did it. And I feel like just, I don't know. It's been really lovely and really helpful. As someone, again, we can get into it so much, but
yeah,
I've been dealing with a significant creative and writer's block for years at this point. And that has been so healing to just be like, I just show up. And you know what? It may not be a work of genius art, but it's me proving to myself that I can show up and I can do it. And like, just like, hey, you did that. And a little victory for me today was that one of the songs that I'm working on, I was writing it and I was starting to write this verse about how, like, basically kind of looking back and being like, oh, I used to be someone that I would really like be proud of and really trust and would admire if I were someone else. Like Holly, we've talked about this of like
Yes.
all the things that you're going through, you can be so critical to yourself. But if I came to you being like, the exact same things are happening to me, you would give me so much grace and be so proud of all the work I've done and whatever, and vice versa. And maybe this is a sweet little way to end, like, for today, or maybe going forward, is just like a little victory that you like, something that has been like a little bright spot, because that was something where today I was working on this and it already felt like a little victory to be working on this song. Also, I'm definitely not I'm like, I love really sad songs, so I wasn't discouraged by it being a verse about like, I used to be someone I was proud of and I used to be someone I could trust, and what went wrong. And then I kind of had this moment where I was like, wait, I can literally just switch this word from I was to I am. And then the verse became, I am someone I would be proud of. I am someone I could trust. And I'm like, wait, that, like, I feel like it just did this like really like great healing thing for all the younger versions of me. I was just like, I needed that. And I am proud of myself and the work I'm doing. And yeah, so I'm like, yeah, wait, not was, am. Still am.
You like get to continue write the story as you're writing it, you know?
Yeah.
That's what you did. That's so beautiful. I love the ending with like a little victory. My little victory is like kind of similar tone, and that like I have been working on this like book of like poetry and mindfulness practices that are like, I'm someone who's like done a morning routine for years, and I wanted to create it as like a book, and I just put all this like pressure on myself about like, I wanted it published, I wanted it to be, I would tell myself I'm going to put a New York Times bestseller out there. Like that's a really good way to not putting anything out there.
Oh my God. Preach.
And I, at the beginning of this year, was like, from a lot of encouragement from like my brother-in-law and sister, they're like, dude, just like make it an ebook and make it like chill. So I just like made it like a 28-day like creative wellness workbook where it's like everything I already did, but it's like giving space for you to work through it. And I like finished the first draft today and I was like, I'm actually going to put this out there. And I feel
Holly,
so excited. And I feel like I've felt like not putting that out there has like creatively blocked me so much. Cause like it has to be out there to continue to get your creativity flowing. So I am just so excited to put it out there. And this is also like just something that I have been thinking of as helping me get through this chapter of 2025 is that like the Lunar New Year and the Chinese New Year starts January 29th on the new moon. And I am saying that is my new year. And that's when I'm going to like try to put it out there. And it's like, here's this like fresh start. Here's like a little challenge for other people to like work through their creativity to get into like,
oh my gosh,
some of these practices. And I am very proud. You know, it's a big victory. So I'll take that big victory.
Yes. It's a huge victory.
Thanks,
absolutely.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to read that and do it. Like that is I love that so much. And also it is one of those things where it's like, I forget this sometimes where I'm like, wait, literally putting it, also if you put it out as an ebook and whatever, like who's to say you may be like, you know what? I actually have more that I want to add to this. And other people might, you might have community collaboration that you're like, actually, I think one day down the road, this is going to become like, you may still be New York Times bestselling author, Holly Sager.
Thanks,
but
Kelly.
Like that's you have to start. Like you have to.
You have to show
Also, I'm
up.
so there with you. I've had this like phrase in my brain that I'm like, how how to work through this. Literally, I've been like, I feel creatively constipated for so long.
That is the perfect phrasing. Why are people not saying that for rooftops?
Literally, I'm like,
we need like a creativity laxative.
Literally, like when we were talking last week about like what do we want the vibe to be, and like what, and we were like, we really want like creativity and whatever, and like all of this stuff. And I also always am just like nerdy about like, I love alliteration and whatever, and I was like, oh, that's fun. And I'm like, I don't want the vibe to be creative constipation. That's what I'm trying to get away from. It's just so like, it just happens that it's like a catchy catchphrase.
It's amazing. And like, also we do have some creatively yes, yeah. We will come up with a cool alliteration to uncreatively constipate ourselves. Please. But sometimes you're creatively constipated, and I'm totally going to start saying that. Bless you, Kelly.
Yeah.
See, the levity.
Okay, I cannot resist the opportunity to use Kelly's amazing creatively constipated phrasing to promote my new 28-day creative wellness challenge ebook. So this book is going to be like your Miralax to get uncreatively constipated and create a life you love. So I've been working on this book for years, and it's honestly created from my daily wellness practices, and it's designed to help you slow down, reconnect, and nurture your well-being and creativity. Each day you'll find a poetic affirmation, a reflection, a mindfulness practice, and a creative practice that are all 11 minutes or less to help you create a sustainable morning routine and ritual that allows you to tap into your creative spirit and cultivate wellness in your life. And I truly believe that the world needs more creativity and more wellness and mindfulness practices to find solutions to the problems that we're facing, to take care of ourselves and one another as we move through it. How the Wise One Grows listeners, I love you so much. So there is a special 10% off code in the show notes. The discount code is CREATE in all caps. And in the show notes, you'll find the link to get this creative wellness ebook and the discount code.
And it always comes back to poop stuff. So
it always comes back to poop stuff. And
yeah,
I want to end us on the poop stuff, but I do just want to say one more thing that's less poopy. But just for like the listeners, I feel like the homework, or just like the number one thing to put in your go bag, is just like showing up. I feel like that's what we're getting to. Like, it doesn't matter what's in the bag. It doesn't matter what stuff you say you're going to do if you don't show up for them. So like, and just showing up for the hard shit that we're moving through this year. Like, all we can do is show up. So let's just keep showing up. And come June, let's be uncreatively constipated.
As always, I'm like, I feel like I just positively shook for 10 minutes.
Yeah, this was like a good little shake. Maybe we'll like edit in a shake break for people during this episode, where we'll just like have a little
shake break.
A shake break.
Hello, it's Kelly. Holly and I thought we would extend an invitation for you to take a beat now that you've finished this episode. Put on your favorite song and just have a little baby shake break. And if you feel so inclined, please let us know what your current go-to dance party songs are. You can send us a message at How the Wise One Grows on Instagram. And yeah, God bless. Happy shaking.